You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
New Zealand into the home straight now. Gold medal. New Zealand. The Kiwis have won gold. They're powering through. New Zealand gold.
Weekend Sports Road to Paris 2024.
Yeah, we're now just over a month away from the 2024 Olympics. We continue our Road to Paris feature, catching up with some of our great Olympians. Our guest this afternoon, one of the finest track athletes New Zealand has ever produced. Nick Willis competed in the 1500 metres at 5 Olympic Games, winning silver at Beijing in 2008 and bronze at Rio in 2016.
Centrovitz is the Olympic champion. McLuffy to silver and bronze, can you believe it, to Nick Willis of New Zealand. Well, there would have been a lot of people watching in New Zealand. What a fine career it's been for Nick Willis. His third consecutive final. It wasn't quite a replica of the legendary exploits of Lovelock, Snell and John Walker 40 years ago. But a silver in Beijing, a little fist pump there. He is a masterful tactician, and while all around him were beginning to crumble, Willis kept his composure, and he has a second Olympic medal. Nick Willis takes the bronze.
Yeah, he also won 1,500 metre medals in all three of his Commonwealth Games: gold at Melbourne 2006, bronze at Delhi 2010, bronze again in Glasgow in 2014, and is the New Zealand record holder over the distance, 3:29.66, which he ran in Monaco in 2015. Nick Willis is with us on Weekend Sport. Nick, when you think back about your many Olympic Games experiences, what stands out most vividly for you?
The first thing, just talking about Olympic Games, makes me think about Snell and Walker, to be honest. I forget that I was there. It feels like such a long time ago, even it was just most recently. But yeah, I think probably most of all, it's just all of the New Zealand team doing a haka when I got into the village or coming back from a medal, all of that sort of Team New Zealand experience around the village. We really crushed that sort of setup there. We definitely had the best sort of space in the village that the New Zealand team had set up. So it's just a real sense of coming home, and when I'm based overseas all of the time, you know.
How much camaraderie is there amongst a New Zealand team at an Olympic Games? Do you get the opportunity to mix much with the others, or are you really kind of focused on your own event?
No, absolutely, especially amongst the different sports. They really did a good job of setting up down in the lobby in the sort of a viewing area for everyone to get together and cheer on the different sports. And athletics is in the second half of the games. So the first week you get to watch the swimming and other sports going on. And always get a chance to go hang out with some other sports people to go to other events as well. That was always fun. Probably my most vivid memory of that was Kirk Piney taking me under his wing at the Athens Olympics when I was sort of a young spark, sort of intimidated by the whole endeavour, and he sort of saw that in me, some nerves as we were sort of getting around the village, and he sort of mentored me through that experience, and we've stayed mates since.
Amazing stuff. Can I ask about 2008, silver medalist? You came across the line third. There was a disqualification which saw you upgraded to silver. Did that at all take the gloss off it that you didn't get the silver on the podium?
No, I was really very fortunate in many regards because of that. I'm the only person to ever get to have a medal presented on their home track when they didn't win the gold medal, and get to hear the national anthem on their home stadium at Newtown Park. They put on a special ceremony for the occasion, and so I got to have the experience in Beijing, and bronze was as good as silver in my eyes at the time. And then I got to go through that whole moment again, even sort of more emotionally on my home track in Wellington. So yeah, I sort of got double the dose, but hey, I deserved it. When cheats beat you, you get to be rewarded in those moments as well.
I love that. London 2012, you were the flag bearer. How do they tell you about these things? Is there any sort of ceremony around the revealing of this news that you'll be carrying the flag, or is it just a sort of an offhand conversation asking if you'd like to do the job?
I believe I was in Waitakere at an athletics meeting there, so that would have been February of 2012, and I got a phone call from the chef de mission at the time, and he said, "Hey Nick, I just wanted to see if you'd be willing and able to to be the flag bearer for the event. I think Dame Valerie Villi had already turned it down, and perhaps Mahi Drysdale, so I was just like the third pick because everyone else was worried about the curse of being the flag bearer, which turned out to be true, right? Like I ended up having my worst games. No, that's coincidental, but yeah.
That must have been a proud moment, though. I mean, could 8-year-old Nick Willis ever have imagined carrying the flag out in front of a New Zealand team at an Olympic Games?
Never in my wildest dreams. I was always felt so intimidated in all of these sorts of moments. I was never a sports captain or anything at my school. I don't think I was ever a captain for any of my sports teams, let alone being the flag bearer for the country. So no, it was a huge, huge honour.
In 2016, I want to ask you about that and the bronze you won there. How do you reflect on 2016?
I think mostly I was just really, really proud of like not giving it up really. After 2012, I was pretty devastated to get sort of blown away in the last lap of the final and wondering if the old legs still had it in them. And I sort of worked with my coaches and my support network to try and figure out, is there a way to really just focus on how to be the best version of myself and not get too distracted by all the other phenomenal athletes in the world. And I think that's when I had the best head on my shoulders. I may not have had quite the best body anymore, but just the preparations that went into those games, we avoided all of the different pitfalls and sort of obstacles along the way that might have held me back in other years. And it just was the perfect preparations. And then on race day, it was just a real privilege to be there at 33, 34 years old against all these young bucks. And when it went out being a super slow race, I've always enjoyed those sort of moments. So I don't have to feel the pain and suffering of a race. And I got to enjoy those first 2 laps, and then it was game on. And fortunately, the gaps opened up, and I was able to capitalize on them.
Did you ever consider a move to the 5,000 metres, or was the 1,500 always the one that you were keen to continue competing in?
I always had the allure and like the idea of giving it a go, but each time I tried, it didn't seem to have the same success that I had envisioned or hoped. And one of my last serious races as a international runner was at the Rome Diamond League, and I think I was last by 200 meters in the 5,000 meter race there. So that was pretty writing on the wall that it was never meant to be.
Can you take us inside the I don't know, half an hour, 15 minutes before an Olympic final? What's that like, and how much impact does what you do in the last 15 minutes before the gun goes actually have on the way that you race?
Yeah, it can be a really intense moment. I think the whole 5 days in the Olympic Village around your heat, your semi, and your final, it's a long period of time to be really focused on that one sole goal and endeavor. And so for me personally, it's like finally I get a chance to sort of come out of that cocoon, so to speak, where you're really just trying to suppress all your emotions and excitement and trying to have them all be ready to be put into that one focused effort in the final. So I just get really excited in the last 30 minutes. I think I've been really nervous in the sort of 4 hours to an hour and a half before the race, but once I start my warm-up and get into the motions, that's when I've always enjoyed that sort of, this is what I signed up for, this is what you dream as a child. I always wanted to be the guy that kicked the winning penalty kick at Athletic Park from the 22, and so this was my moment to do that in the slightly less skilled arena of running. But I always enjoyed the bigger moments that sort of brought the best out of me.
And did you enjoy being part of a legacy? You mentioned some of the great names of middle distance running in New Zealand before: Hellberg, Snell, Lovelock, Walker. Obviously, you're in that conversation now too for the present day cohort. Did you enjoy the opportunity to add to that middle distance legacy?
Oh, absolutely. I was by far a fan first before I was an athlete at that level, and I just soaked up everything to do with all of the history alongside of that, and that's pretty well documented. And one of the most special moments for me was about a month before, maybe 3 weeks before the Rio Games, when they announced the final selections, and my training partners from New Zealand, Julian Matthews and Hamish Carson, got announced to the team. And I had got wind of that a day early, so I reached out to Snell and Dick Quacks, the late Dick Quacks, and Rod Dixon. I asked if they'd be willing to sort of be available on a group call as a surprise to welcome those two young New Zealand milers into the running fraternity, the great New Zealand Olympians. And so that was really cool to get the six of us together on a call for about an hour, and really just sort of like soak into that moment. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And Sam Tanner will wear that black singlet in Paris in a few weeks' time. How do you assess his ability to do well in Paris?
Sam's doing great. He hasn't had too many opportunities of late, but we've got so many other New Zealanders doing well right now as well. With Geordie Beamish, he won the World Indoor Championships in the 1500 metres. That was something I was never able to do. And now James Preston from Wellington, he just broke Snell's record in the 800 metres. And on the women's side with Maya Ramsden winning the NCAA title 2 back-to-back years in the women's 1500 metres. So, yeah, it's just really exciting to be a fan of middle distance running for New Zealand at the moment.
You still got that record, mate, 3:29.66. You reckon Sam will break that at some stage, or somebody will?
I'm sure it won't be too long, but these are a great crop of kids, so I'll be cheering them on as well.
And just to finish, an Olympic year, do you still take a keen interest in the Olympic Games, Nick? Will you be taking in some of the action from Paris?
My family and I will be in Paris for 2 weeks before the Games, but we won't be there during the Games, but we'll be watching on TV. I think that's you get a better view sometimes from telly, to be honest. So, yeah, it'll be a bit different, but I honestly haven't thought about it too much more. There's a lot going on in my other areas of life at the moment, but no, it should be fun. Yeah,
I can hear the other areas of your life clamouring for your attention in the background, Nick. Appreciate you taking the time for a chat and a bit of a wander down memory lane. Congrats on everything you achieved, and let's hope there's more to come in a black singlet for the latest cohort. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks so much, Jason. Look forward to catching up when I'm home this winter. Or American winter, so I'll be there for Christmas.
Oh, look forward to that, mate. Thanks indeed. That is Nick Willis there, the latest guest on our road to Paris. Every Sunday, just after the 2 o'clock news, we chat to one of our great Olympians, and Nick Willis, 5 Olympic Games and 2 medals in the 1500 metres, certainly falls into that category. Another guest just after the 2 o'clock news next Sunday.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.